After an opening week bye, North Central got its season started on the right foot Saturday, beating University of Wisconsin lacrosse 41-24 on the road. We recap the record-setting offensive performance and preview North Central's first home game of the season right now on the Red Zone. New host, same coach. Welcome inside the Red Zone. I'm Justin Zipser, joined by North Central football head coach John Thorne, as always. Coach, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to have you, Justin.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm feeling you're the veteran of this show, so now it's nice to be welcomed here. So we got the first week victory out of the way. Last couple seasons, you've had some struggles in the first week, or at least your first game of the season, and this one came with a little bit of revenge factor as well.
Well, we don't like that word revenge too much, but we really wanted to get started off with a victory. And we were just talking on the way out here that that's what the focus was all through camp. And so the guys weren't looking beyond game one. But most importantly, they executed so much better than we did the last 2 years in game one. I mean, there was an awful lot of good things on film, and so we're really happy with the way they played.
Now, was a lot of this big win predicated on the fact that you knew these guys from last year? How much was based on tape? What can you tell us about the preparation that went into this game?
Definitely that helps. The first season games that we've lost have always been teams that we've never faced before, you know, and so having enough film on them, knowing enough about them, and then being able to adjust during the game didn't happen in those games. So we did know a lot more about this team. And for this year, we're doing something new. The offensive coordinator, Coach John Thorne, is up in the box. And Coach Spencer and our GA who works with our offensive line, you know, Brad Spencer, and then Chris Kirkpatrick is down. And they're doing all the hand signals and everything. So we're running at a really, really fast pace. And yet we can still line up and freeze and then read it. So on the offensive side, that was brand new. And then, of course, the defensive side is totally new because we have a new defensive coordinator. And so there were a lot of new things that we had to test out. So it could have gone a lot.
A lot of moving parts, yeah.
Yeah, and it just went beautifully. The players were really happy with their focus and concentration.
Well, last year, you guys ran on average about 65 plays per game. You want to run about 80 plays per game this year, and in your first game of the year, you ran 90. So You guys were running at a breakneck pace, and it really worked out for you. You set a new record for yards in a single game, 674, breaking record that you set a couple years ago against Millikin. Was it a byproduct of that faster pace?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, this team was a far, far better team than Millikin was. They had bigger, stronger, faster, more experienced players, all those kinds of things. So to get that many yards against that kind of team, something had to really be different. And so we think it's the new system that we're trying right now, and we'll see if it works again, you know, this week.
Well, we certainly hope so. It seemed to help out, at the very least, Spencer Stanek, your starting cornerback right now. He passed for over 300 yards. He had a touchdown through the air, 2 on the ground. I mean, how happy are you to see a game like this from Spencer? He's had a couple of them in his career, being a fifth-year senior, but how happy are you to see him excel in this first game of the season?
We've had some awfully great quarterbacks, you know, over the years we've been here, and that performance is right there as either the top 1, 2, or 3 of any quarterback we've had. You know, 5 times our quarterback was the player of the year in the conference. So this hopefully means that Spencer's off to a great start. Maybe it's going to continue, and he may have a chance for an honor like that too. but it's awfully early and a lot of things can change. But certainly it was a wonderful game. Great game for him to start off the season with.
And it was certainly another question mark coming into the season was your running back situation. Obviously, Nick Kukoc, Jordan Tassia, those guys, great running backs in North Central College history, graduated last year. This year, you have a trio of guys. All three of them got a lot of work, and also Spencer did a good job on the ground as well.
Yes, that is going to be a huge thing to watch throughout the course of the year and see who's going to develop the most. You know, we think we've got great speed with O'Shane Brown, and we think that Ryan Kent has the most experience, and he had a really good game. He had 2 huge runs that got more than half of each of those runs got called back because of holding, unfortunately, or he would have been our leading rusher. But Matt Randolph is really going to be a key to the offense because he can run it, he can block, he can run the pass routes, he can do so many different things. So he'll be a combination H-back, running back. We didn't know how many times we'd hand him the ball, but he really showed that he can be a power runner for us and get the tough yards.
And obviously the defense gave up that quick touchdown at the start of the game against your opponent this last week, and then really shut him down in the second half. It was a great performance.
Well, it's a brand new defense for the whole team, and this is the very first time you get to test it in a real game. Everybody's going full speed. Everybody's playing hard. And it just took a little bit of adjusting. We were this far away from making huge plays on that very first drive, but we didn't quite get them. And so when they went to the sidelines, the communication that happened was just fantastic because instantly they got comfortable and started playing the defense like it's designed. And I think the defense is something that's going to get better every week for several weeks in a row. But that was a wonderful start.
Impressive way to start.
It was.
After the break, we'll continue to break down the Cardinals with Coach Thorne. More after this.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back inside the Red Zone. Still with us is head coach John Thorne. And John, we'll continue where we left off with the defense. New defensive coordinator this year, Mike Murray, and he has simplified the defense, and you guys have a lot more speed. Talk about that a little bit, what that gave you on Saturday.
What I like most about the defense is how each player, all 11 players, has a read key when the play starts, before the play starts. And so when they come to the sideline, it's you can talk to each player, what'd your read key do, so on and so forth. And a lot of times that will answer what went wrong, because as coaches, you don't have enough eyeballs to see all 11 people. So you're not going to see little tiny mistakes, little adjustments that need to be made until you get a chance to study the film. So I'm very excited about how we adjusted during a game and made adjustments to get guys calm, back under control, trusting the defense, but doing their technique and doing their 111. We still, when we went back and looked at the film, we still had many, many mistakes that are going to get better. But every one of them is very fixable, and so it's going to be the most exciting part of the team to watch. Is how that defense I just really have a great feeling that they're going to just keep getting better and better and better every week, because I can see the structure. It's making sense to the coaches and to the players. Just more opportunities, more repetition.
Well, that's one new look for you, defense, and there's a couple of other new looks for you as well this year. I'm not talking about the players or the coaches or the schemes, as we'll explain here in this week's Cardinal Corner.
To the 35, the 40, the 45, the 50, the 45, the 40.
NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders once said, "You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good." The Cardinals will have a chance to test that theory this season. The team has been outfitted with new Nike Pro Combat home and away uniforms and a new matte white helmet.
I'm a big believer in look good, play good, so I was very excited. I love the little black and red accents and stuff, so I was very excited about the new uniforms.
The new unis feature a more breathable material and a new number font. And yes, that isn't much of a change, but a new uniform does bring excitement to a team. Wheaton College also introduces new Nike threads this year. Check out the reaction of the team for the uniform reveal during summer camp. North Central also got a big facilities upgrade thanks to donor money. The old metal locker room lockers were ripped out in December. In their place, new wooden locker stalls, TVs, and a nostalgic paint job, including pictures of important Cardinals of years past.
It's a great way to honor some of those players that we've had that were players of the year in the conference, and some of the other greats that we've had at North Central along the years.
That fresh paint won't smell too good if North Central doesn't follow through on this season's goals, which is why coaches want players to earn it, a mantra for this year's team. The uniforms and lockers are just two more items to earn.
So, Coach, obviously new locker rooms, new uniforms, new kind of look for the team this year. Locker rooms, a couple years in the making, and they look gorgeous.
Well, we realized we're trying to recruit a lot of key sheeters, so you got to have some pretty stuff, to make them all happy. And so the new locker room has really been far nicer than what I had pictured in my mind. And I hope it's something that the players and the recruits and so forth in the future are really going to enjoy. It seems like everybody's very happy with it right now. And the new uniforms, that's just every so often it's time to buy new uniforms, and I think the guys like them. To me, a uniform's a uniform, but these do look very nice, and I hope that the guys are really happy with them.
So we talked about lacrosse. Let's talk about Stout, this week's opponent. And this is a team coming into their own, it seems. 2-0 at the season right now. Last year struggled a bit. What can you tell us about your game plan or what you're planning to think about doing come Saturday?
Well, the fact that they're 2-0 is going to give them a lot of confidence. And so we know they're big, and we know that they can run. We know they're well coached. So we're looking at this like we're in the playoffs. We played a playoff caliber team in lacrosse, and the guys did well. This is another team that is as good as a lot of the playoff teams will be. And so we're expecting a really physical, tough game, and we're still studying the film, trying to decide exactly what we're going to do, but it looks like there's going to be some of the things similar to last week that might be there. And the guys have had a good week of practice so far.
Well, we wish you the best of luck come Saturday. It'll be your first home game, and we can't wait to watch you guys.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you.
Keep it right here on the Red Zone. After the break, we'll be joined by a few Cardinals that led the team to its impressive win in Wisconsin. Stick with us.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back inside the Red Zone. Joining me now, junior wideout Peter Sorenson and senior defensive lineman John Focosi. Guys, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having us.
So we have one member of the offense, one member of the defense, as we usually like to do here on the Red Zone. We'll start with the defense because I think you guys, you gave up that touchdown to Lacrosse in the first possession, really first couple of minutes, and then suddenly you kind of flipped a switch. Second, third quarters, you guys only gave up one first down. What was the key to that?
It was our first game of the season, and I think we were just kind of getting our feet a little wet, and getting used to the speed of the game because it's been, almost a year since we've been playing college football. So everything was just flying by really fast. And, once we kind of settled down, the game slowed down and we were able to play the defense we know.
I should mention you've been named the CCIW Defensive Player of the Week, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. You had 2 sacks to end the season last year, the regular season at least, against Augustana. So you've been kind of upping your performance up. What's been the key to that?
I think a lot of it just has to do with maturity. Becoming a senior, as guys have told me before, the game does slow down a little bit as you mature and get used to playing the game. So that has definitely helped. I trust the defense, trust the guys around me, and they put me in positions to make plays, and I do the same for them.
And Peter, we'll move on to you. You had a career day for yourself. A couple really nice catches down the field, stretching the field for your quarterback, Spencer Stanek. A lot of yards, most yards you've ever had in a game. Talk about your performance a little bit and how you've kind of been able to get an early rhythm with Stanek to start the season.
Yeah, well, going back to last year, Spencer and I, we played together, so we've just been building that bond, and we just had a lot of routes. We ran routes over the summer all the time and through spring ball. We've just really developed a good connection, and I had a good game, but it starts up front. Our offensive line played outstanding. They were named the team of the week by D3 football. They gave Spence a ton of time. I think there was only 1 sack, which is great considering how many times we put it in the air. But yeah, we played pretty well throughout the board. Coach said all week that there would be some opportunities to make plays on the outside. So when opportunities did come, myself and Chad O'Kane too, and Rezak and DeMarco Tillman, we stepped up and made some plays.
You have a real exciting new receiving corps this year with DeMarco coming back this year. And talking a little bit about the offensive line, you guys, again, talked about this with Coach, ran 90 plays offensively this week, and only 4 of those plays resulted in losses of yards. And it really opened up time for you and Spencer and the rest of your running backs, and the offense looked really good.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been pressing that tempo throughout spring ball and especially through camp. Actually, when we got into the game, it kind of seemed like it had to slow down a little bit. The refs were kind of slowing us down, but we thought we could push the tempo even more, maybe get off 100 snaps. I don't know, but we were in pretty good shape. We were able to execute at a high level, even going into the 4th quarter. And that's just a testament to how hard everyone's worked in the off season and throughout camp.
So you guys, coming off the first week of the season was a bye week for you guys. So you're not going to have the advantage of that bye week during the year to rest up between games, anything like that. Instead, you got the advantage of resting up from practice injuries, anything like that. Can you guys talk a little bit about, we'll start with you, John, a little bit about how that has affected the way you guys prep for the season and how you guys will practice and play tempo-wise throughout the season without that mid-season bye week?
Well, the way I think a lot of the guys are kind of thinking about it is we had our break at the beginning of the season, so now it's time to roll right now. So we had our rest, and now it's time to, hit a stride and play as long as we can. And I think that at first guys were worried about the bye week, but I think ultimately that having a first week bye week is going to be a really good thing later in the season.
And Peter, with the 90 plays you guys ran offensively, how are you feeling body-wise throughout the midweek practice leading up to this week's game?
I'm still a little bit sore. We ran a lot of plays. I think I personally had 84 snaps, which is a ton.
Yeah,
that's a lot. But we're in good shape. We've got a lot of depth, so I think in this week we'll do a little bit more, getting more guys rotated in, especially on the offensive line. But we've got a lot of depth, and guys are in good shape. I think we'll be able to keep up this pace the whole year. And not having the bye week, I think it'll kind of help us. If we get into a roll, we'll just keep moving. Sometimes a bye week, if it's coming off a win, you don't want it. You just want to play another football game. So that's what we're going to try to do. Obviously, we're focused on this week, UW Stout, but if we can get some wins and keep rolling, that'll be fine.
Let's talk a little bit about Stout. They coming in with a pretty good record so far this year. Again, 2-0, as we talked about with Coach. Struggled last year. But again, it's a whole new season. You guys played them last year, beat them pretty handily. What are you guys looking at from the defensive side of the ball against Stout this week?
Well, they're a very good team from a great conference. So we have to prepare just like we do any other team, which is preparing to beat a great team. They got some big linemen up front and some guys who can make some big plays. So it's going to be a tough week for us, and we have to come out prepared and keep working hard during practice and do what we can do to win.
and they basically graduated their entire offensive line from last season. So as a defensive lineman, are you kind of looking at a new offensive line against the opposing team and saying, how can I take advantage of these guys? Or are you saying, do I want to feel them out, anything like that?
Well, one thing, having a new offensive line, it kind of makes it hard to film study because there's just not that much film on them. So what I've seen is they're a pretty good offensive line, and we have to prepare for them just like we would a senior offensive line or guys who have started all 4 years. So we got to be ready for a fight up front.
And Peter, similar to John, you're going against a whole new defensive back lineup against Stout compared to what they had last year. What have the tape sessions told you about what they've done so far this year?
Well, they're a good team. They're 2-0, so we can't afford to take them lightly. I think if we just focus on executing our game plan, doing what we can do, if we control the ball pretty much in any game, we'll be in good shape. It's just a matter of limiting turnovers, and they'll present some problems. They're a good team. They're big. They've got a small corner, but aside from that, they're pretty big. So we'll have to be physical, which, we've worked a lot on, especially on the perimeter blocking. But they present some challenges, but I think we'll be up to holding them.
And one of the big challenges for the defense this week is wide receiver Trevor Mourning, and he has over 300 yards worth of passing yardage in the 2 games that he's played so far, John. How do you contain a guy like that when you know that he's gotten off in his first 2 games? What do you do to prepare?
Well, we have a lot of faith in our defense, and our defensive backs and our D-line and our linebackers all work together. So it's not so much one guy trying to beat one receiver. It's the whole defense trying to beat an entire offense. So they have that great receiver as well as other guys, but we're going to play them as a team and try to win that way.
And how have you liked playing under Mike Murray with the new simplified defense this year?
It has allowed us to play fast. We've been playing very physical, I think, and after we got that first series out at La Crosse and kind of got used to it and really figured out what the defense was in a real game, I think it's going to be a very effective defense, and he's a good coach to play for.
And he's definitely coached you guys well, at least so far. That's what we've been seeing, at least through the first game and the practices that we've been able to attend. So you guys look very good. So good luck to you. You play Stout on Saturday at home, your first home game of the season, and we can't wait to see you guys play well, hopefully.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
When we return, we'll talk with Sports Information Director Clark Tuscher and check in with some other NCC fall sports right here on the Red Zone.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back. Sports Information Director Clark Tuscher is joining us now to help put a bow on the first Red Zone of the season. Clark, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll start with, I guess, the big news for non-football fall sports action at North Central this week is the addition of a new varsity sport starting in 2016.
Yes, the announcement was made this week officially that the college is going to add men's volleyball as its 23rd varsity sport. They'll begin competing in the spring of 2016. It'll compete on a club basis before then. It's a decision that the college has been looking at for a while now. You're always looking at ways to increase your recruiting pool, and as ways we continue to try to grow the student body. Athletics is typically a sure bet to do that, to add programs, and we thought this one, with how well the high school programs have done in the past several years, it was a natural fit for the college.
This is something that you and I talked about, as well as with Jim Miller, athletic director for North Central. You guys were going through a couple different sports over the last couple years, thinking about adding a couple new sports. Men's volleyball obviously was the one you went with. Men's lacrosse was another one that you were thinking of. What was the main factor that led you to men's volleyball as opposed to some other sports?
Well, the biggest thing was to make sure it was an offering that complemented the sports that we already have. In terms of facilities and equipment and all the things that you would need to start a successful program that way. In addition to the fact that volleyball as a Division III championship sport is only a couple of years old. There's only a certain number of teams that can play it. We can institute a program that can compare to the competitive level of the rest of the athletic department within a relatively short amount of time. So I think in terms of adding something that fit with the rest of the department as it stands right now was the biggest factor for us.
So that's the future of North Central sports. Let's go back to the present, where we are now. We're well underway into soccer season. The men and women both playing University of Wisconsin Whitewater over the weekend. Couple of different results overall for both of these programs. The women 0-4-1 right now, but they did get that one draw against a very good Whitewater team on the weekend.
Yeah, they started out, it was kind of the perfect storm as far as injuries were concerned. They couldn't seem to keep anybody healthy. They went into a couple of games with just a couple of substitutes available. Some of those players are starting to get back into form now. As we saw, they came up with a 2-2 tie against a team that hasn't lost yet this year. So, hopefully things are going to be looking up by the time they get a couple more weeks down the road and get into conference play.
It definitely seems like right now they're kind of grinning and bearing it right now. They're just getting through this tough part of the schedule, and hopefully things soften up a little bit later. Hope Sayers obviously chasing a little bit of history this year.
Yeah, she's 5 goals short of the career scoring record. She hasn't scored at quite the rate that she's been in the past. The health of the team has had something to do with that. They haven't been able to run the kind of set pieces and things that they've wanted to with the players they expected to have. Now that some of those are coming back, she should have a few more opportunities to get into the record book there.
And over to the men, they're off to a pretty good start, looking for their first conference tournament berth by the end of the season.
They're 4-2 right now. 2 one-goal losses, one which was in overtime on Sunday. They've played a tough schedule that they hope will have enough rigor in it to get them ready for conference play. They've got their sights set high. Not just the conference tournament, but they're going to try and their goal is to get into the NCAA tournament as well. So certainly some high expectations for that group there.
And of course, we wouldn't be doing a good job if we didn't mention the cross-country team as a premier fall sport. They're the first-ranked team in the entire nation as far as D3 teams go. And John Crane, of course, is dominating as usual.
John's the 2-time National Athlete of the Week. That's a new award that the Coaching Association instituted this year, and John's the only runner in the country to have won it twice so far. So, he's certainly in shape. He was in similar form at the beginning of last year. Suffered an injury and missed a large portion of the season. So staying healthy is going to be a priority for him. For a team that has won 2 straight national championships, they've entered this year feeling like they've had a lot to prove. The last couple of years, those were very close wins at the national championships. Last year in particular was the most wide open that field had been in quite some time. And their goal right now is to put together that big dominant performance that has happened a few other times in the program's history.
Well, let's hope they continue to dominate as usual. Clark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The football team opens its home slate this weekend, hosting the University of Wisconsin Stout at Benedetti Worley Stadium at 1 o'clock. We'll have every home game live on NCTV 17 and NCTV17.com this season. We hope you'll join us on Saturday. I'm Justin Zipser. Thanks for watching.